When we talk about our African culture, you also agree with me that people tend to really honor a voice that has been spoken by someone who has died. And it is very unfortunate because I have seen some people in the course of my practice who have been held hostage by something that was said by someone who died. Like they are not wired for that. Let's say, for instance, somebody left a business empire and encouraged children to continue with the business, and they feel like they are not wired for that. Maybe they are wired for different careers, but because somebody said it, they still want to go and do it. So that is why we are saying that for every loved one who dies, there is always that continuing bond. And therefore, it is okay for us to feel like we are connected with them. And I know this is something that can trigger a lot of discussion here and there, because of our religious backgrounds, who many times have told us that when somebody dies, we need to disconnect with them immediately. And I keep asking myself whether by somebody dying, does it become evil? Is it evil for someone to die? It is not evil. And therefore, it is good to retain some of these memories so that they can have this continuing bond, and that can help them go through and overcome their sense of loss and grief. Now, their visits and posts typically increase on anniversaries, birthdays, and holidays, which reminds them of the cherished memories they have for the deceased. So you might realize that when they are having their birthdays, the young people, or when they remember that today is would be my father's birthday, but he is dead, they will really want to write a lot. They will visit their Facebook page and be able to express their feelings there, which is very good because it helps them to have that closure and to accept that actually that has happened. Others will post pictures of themselves as if the deceased person can see them. They will post pictures, and they will even tag their late father or their late mother. And sometimes those of us who do not understand this shift, we sort of tend to quarrel them, which is not right. Now, the nature of interactions online allow for more self-disclosure by adolescents. Allow a lot of self-disclosure. They are able to go there. As a matter of fact, if you let me give you some tips, dear parents. If you want to know what is happening inside of your teenager as far as loss and grief is concerned, you can visit those walls of maybe their deceased parents or deceased siblings. And many times they will tend to have a lot of self-disclosure over there, and you can get to understand their internal world. So instead of quarreling them, it is important for us to understand where they are coming from, because they can express their innermost and the true thoughts and the feelings without the fear of feeling judged, dismissed, rejected, or even belittled. How many times do we belittle our young people? How many times do we judge them? How many times do we reject them? How many times do we dismiss them? Because maybe what we see them do, we think this is not something that they need to be doing. Now, they cannot be told what to feel and how to feel it, or be placated in any way on social media as they are expressing their deep-seated pain, as they are giving their self-disclosure there on a Facebook wall. They cannot be told how to feel, because many times we tend to tell them how they need to feel. We want them to grieve the same way we grieve. We want them to behave the same way we behave, which is not right. And therefore, this is the reason why they will turn to the social media and write what they are feeling, because nobody is pushing them, nobody is placating them in any given way. There is also the opportunity to say goodbye on the Facebook of the deceased loved ones. They have an opportunity to say goodbye, which is particularly important if the cause of death was sudden or unexpected. And maybe somebody died, their father died when they were in school, and they did not have a chance to say goodbye to them. And it is important for us to allow them to do all this, because it is able to bring closure. Because again, somebody who dies when they are away can at the same time cause them to experience a complicated grief. And therefore it is important for us to understand some of these things so that we can help them grieve, because it is God who created tears so that we can express our deep-seated pain, and therefore we need not to stop them from grieving the way they know how to grieve. Now, they get to say things they regret not getting to say to the deceased one, or to express their thoughts and feelings in a safe and enfranchising way. Enfranchising way. They feel like they are being, put together as one piece once again. And especially if there's something that they needed to say to him and they did not say it, they will want to go there on their walls and express that. Now, there is also communication about promises made and kept. Maybe a father or a mother died and they had a promise with their children, with their teenagers, and probably they had promised them that, this term, Mom, I'm gonna hit 500 marks or so, and they died before they fulfill that. So by going there to write that, Mom or Dad, this term's exam I was able to perform like this, it gives them fulfillment. It makes them feel that indeed they have conveyed the message to the relevant person. We are saying that it also has communication, helps them to have communication about promises made and the ones that they have already kept. So it is important for us to be able to understand that. Now, other adolescents make requests to the deceased to watch over the living and believe that this is happening. Can you imagine? Very interesting. And sometimes even when they are giving their tributes during the burial, you will hear them say that we know you are watching over us. We are going to behave. We are going to be good children because we know you are watching over us. So sometimes they will go there on Facebook and they make requests to the deceased and maybe even make some sort of prayers. And it is okay because that is also a modern way of grieving to our young people. They also attempt to renegotiate their identities. They try to renegotiate their identities by continuing to maintain bonds with the deceased. Like, for instance, a statement like, I know you are watching over me. I'm going to try to be good. They are trying to renegotiate their identities. And therefore, you also need to understand that at this stage of life, this is where they really struggle with what we call identity crisis. So they need to be allowed to do all that. Now, continued access to Facebook pages of the deceased act as a way of enfranchising, making them to again be one person. Because sometimes, like we have said earlier, they feel so disenfranchised. And therefore, visiting there enfranchises them, the adolescents. Now, sometimes even beyond the Facebook world, they will even keep some photos of the deceased on their phones, on their tablets, so that they can continue to have that which we are calling continuing bonds. Now, what therefore are the reasons that adolescents use Facebook as a modern day medium of grieving or continuing bonds with the deceased? Why would they want to go to Facebook? And number one, like we have said, this is in conclusion, it offers them comfort of communication. We cannot overemphasize that. And remember, we said there is an aspect, there is an element of immediacy, that whatever they are seeking, there is a tendency that their friends are going to validate them. They are going to tell them pole. So there is a real-time response to their needs. They get to experience the vividness of their deceased loved ones, through what we are calling telepresence. Telepresence. They feel like they are present with them on these gadgets. So it is very, very important for us to understand the reason why they would behave that way. Again, it offers adolescents the opportunity to embrace the importance of making an investment in order to maintain a continuing bond with their deceased loved ones. It offers that opportunity to embrace the importance of maintaining and retaining the continuing bonds with their loved ones. Then last but not least, the fear of the bond breaking. They really fear that I would want to cherish my mother, my father, my sibling forever. And because they are fearing that they would not want this bond to break, they will more often than not want to visit their Facebook walls and retain those communications. And therefore, it is upon us, dear parents, to understand these new dynamics, because if we do not do that, we are forever going to quarrel and have differences with our teenage children, because remember, we said that they feel misunderstood. They feel misunderstood. And for that reason, we really need to invite them. We invite them so that they can allow us to tour their internal world, and therefore we are able to help them go through the process of grief. Because remember, as we said in our previous segment, they will want to turn to social media and to gadgets because the people around them are not connecting with them, and they are judging them, they are placating them, and they are doing all manner of things, and for that reason they feel like you are not reading from the same script. So I want to really encourage you, those parents who have teenagers, and those parents who have children who are in their adolescence, to really understand these new dynamics. This is the modern way of grieving. So when we talk about Facebook as grave markers, that is what we mean. You know, the same way we would want to go home and do the memorial services and do all manner of things to remember our cherished one. Sometimes you might realize that even your teenagers do not want to accompany you to the village, to the unveiling of the cross and stuff like that, because they are already sorted by Facebook. The moment they go there, they are able to express a lot of deep-seated pain. Therefore, they need to be encouraged. The best you can do is to go and see, get to follow what is it that they are writing, what is it that is affecting them, so that again you can have some clue on how you can assist them as far as their loss is concerned. Thank you very much for listening to me. I once again want to welcome you to my Facebook page, Moffat Mshauri, and also visit my YouTube channel, Moffat Mshauri. Subscribe and get to learn much more about issues of life, how we can help each other, how you can get help to be able to cope with the various crises that we may be going through. So thank you very much, and stay blessed.